Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another week, another episode of Wrestling with the Future. You know, what makes us different from everybody else is we're not afraid to take the deep dive. We're not afraid to get controversial when need be. Well,
Nope.
tonight is one of those nights.
Yep.
Well, we got an update on the Jordan Myles situation
Yep.
and the Jim Cornette situation. But before we even go there, there's one critical component to this show that I have to address, and that is my esteemed, affable co-host. He is the walking Encyclopedia Britannica of all things wrestling, Jeff the Ref Robinson. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Hey, how are we doing? I'll tell you what, it's been a crazy last 24 hours as far as this whole Jim Cornette thing goes.
It sure has. Fill me in.
Actually,
you know what?
It goes back to Tuesday night, so here we are Thursday, so I guess 48 hours. But
okay, now, Jeff, for the one or two people living under a rock
that don't know
who haven't heard, let's recap what happened.
I'll say this: we will not say what his quote was.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just because it is definitely a very sensitive subject, and some people deemed it, a racist comment. Some people have said it's not. There's a controversy in and of itself.
Absolutely.
I'll say this: if you guys want to know what his comment was, go back and you'll find it. It's all over the internet. You can't miss it. But basically, NWA Power airs at 6:05 on YouTube on Tuesdays. Jim Cornette is a commentator for them. He said during the middle of Nick Aldis and Trevor Murdoch's match, he made a comment during commentary that a lot of people deemed very controversial as soon as they heard it.
And some people deemed it immediately racist and offensive.
Exactly. And now, here's the thing. What he said, it goes all the way back to 1986 when he first said it. He has said it on multiple occasions in Smoky Mountain. He said it on WWF TV. He said it on WWF pay-per-view.
Absolutely.
I understand different day, different time, different era.
Right.
What he was commenting on,
we have to kind of tiptoe around this, but I will just tell people this. It involves a piece of fried chicken.
Well, yeah, here we go. You know what? Here we go. This does not reflect the views of me or Angelo or our podcast. I will say what he said. He was talking about Trevor Murdoch. I will go there, and that way we're not beating around the subject, and nobody can accuse us of trying to.
Yeah, it's already out there.
Trevor Murdoch is so tough, he could take a motor scooter and ride through Ethiopia with a bucket of fried chicken tied around his neck and come out unscathed. He said it originally about Big Bubba Rogers. I couldn't tell you who else he has said it about. Point being, he's trying to get across.
Same line, change the name.
Right, and he's basically saying it to get across how tough somebody is.
Right.
Now, I want to tell everybody, I'm going to take you back to a time period back in the 1980s. Angelo can vouch for this as well. He's 20 years older than me, but I can remember this as a child growing up. He can remember it as an adult growing up. Throughout the 80s, we were bombarded on our nightly news with the starvation and the drought going on over in the continent of Africa, Ethiopia being one of the hardest hit. There were jokes to the point where they had the adopted African child, for 50 cents a day and whatever. And it became to the point, and I hate to say this, but as a society, as Americans, all races became numb almost to the plight that was going on over there.
Right.
It led to the USA for Africa concert. It led to the We Are the World album, multi-million selling single done by Michael Jackson along with a host of other artists. But that being said, not that it's right or wrong, not that it's right, but he said it during a time when comedians of all races were making jokes. I was going to school and kids were making jokes about the starvation in Africa, and jokes that they had. It's not a joke about black people or even Ethiopians or even making fun of them starving.
Well, therein lies the issue. And that's the crux of the issue.
Right.
That's why people deemed it. In fact, I'm going to read something here in a moment, but people immediately attached to it, and you know, Jeff, they immediately attached a racial stereotype to the comment.
Yep.
The inference being
the
chicken and Ethiopia.
Yeah, and that was not really what it was. Like I said, it's sensitive to the real problem of the starvation going on over there, and that's still to this day a problem.
Well, let me read this and we can discuss it.
Go.
This comes from Yahoo News, and the source credited is lordsofpain.com or .net. We're not sure, but it's Lords of Pain. You can find them wherever, I guess. Here's the headline. Last strike for Cornette, a secret kept from everyone. In a follow-up to Jim Cornette's resignation from NWA, he was on probation for quite some time. Cornette had already received several strikes from management and was walking on thin ice. It's been said that no one knew of Cornette's probation, perhaps not even Cornette himself. He had made some enemies within the company for being so outspoken and controversial. Some people wanted to distance the company from him. Although there's a debate between whether Cornette's comments should be viewed as racist or not, most believe the comment was clearly made in poor taste. This is not the first time, and this is confirming you, Jeff, this is not the first time he's used that exact same phrase, but it went underneath the radar. Cornette is promising to address the situation on his weekly podcast, The Cornette Experience, this Friday. You can listen to that show wherever you receive your podcast information. WWE was asked, this is a Twitter post, WWE was asked to put Cornette in their backstage talk show to discuss the controversy.
That's false.
Both Paige and Renee Young turned down the offer quickly. Below is an official statement from the National Wrestling Alliance and Billy Corgan, effective immediately. Jim Cornette has resigned from the National Wrestling Alliance. As an announcer on the November 19th edition of NWA Power, Jim made remarks during a singles match between Nick Aldis and Trevor Murdoch that were both offensive and do not meet the high standards of decency and good faith of the National Wrestling Alliance. To ensure that such an error never happens again, we've established a new procedure of review for all NWA programming going forward. Sincerely, Billy Corgan and David Lagana.
All right.
Now, Jeff, I got a question for you.
I'm here myself.
You and I want to let people into a little private conversation you and I had. Okay. You and I had the conversation that we both agree it was clearly in bad taste and clearly offensive.
Yep.
Whether it was racist or not is not for you and I to say. But you and I do agree that if this program was pre-recorded and had been in the can for 2 or 3 months, then clearly somebody from the National Wrestling Alliance production department should clearly have seen it or caught it before it made the air.
You would have to assume that they have gone through 2 or 3 stages of editing, at least, including Billy Corgan himself having watched the episode prior to it going on air.
Right.
Keep in mind, one thing I did not, and me and you did not state, NWA Power had the original one airing. It wasn't until they came under fire within probably 15 minutes of it airing from social media.
And tell everybody what happened.
They immediately released a statement on social media. We're sorry for, an offensive comment that was made by one of our commentators. We have since pulled down, the episode, and we were in the process of editing and reposting. They did this.
I want everybody to know that what Jeff is saying is absolutely true. Within 10 to 15 minutes, they pulled it. Now, and issued a statement.
Now here we go. And they got it back up within 1 hour. They had the episode back up.
Yes, they did.
Now here's what I'm going to say.
With the comment removed.
Now they muted it out, basically.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, if they were able to do it within that hour time frame or less than.
Yeah.
Then they should have taken the precautionary measures beforehand and removed it. If I both
agree.
If the company deemed it that unnecessary and that offensive, they should have removed it ahead of time. It wasn't until they came under fire from social media that then they decided to remove it. And at that point, I think is when Jim Cornette said, or somebody called him and said, look, we got to do what's best for the company. Cornette, being a wrestling guy, is going to step down and resign instead of digging his heels in and going, nope, I'm going to give them the middle finger, screw them, and I don't care what kind of fire they come under for me being there.
Well, here's my prediction. Tomorrow, on the Jim Cornette Experience,
he's going to blow it. He's going to
blow it. I will tell you that he's going to bury Dave Lagana, the producer of the show.
I will be shocked if he doesn't.
Because Dave Lagana is the second in command. Billy Corgan owns the company.
Right.
But Dave Lagana runs it. Let's be real clear about it.
Yeah. No, like I said, I will be shocked if he doesn't. I will be really shocked. And I mean,
we know, you and I, Jeff, we know Jim Cornette's mindset.
I will, and here's the kicker, and I will say this.
When have you ever heard Jim Cornette say, I'm sorry?
Never. And he's a very opinionated individual, and he's very polarizing, and that's one thing that people love about him or hate about him. Exactly.
There's no middle ground, Jeff. You either love the guy or you hate him.
And I'm going to say this too about Jim Cornette. I expect him to speak his mind, say what he's got to say tomorrow. I expect him to blow the internet wrestling world, up tomorrow. He's probably going to get the most downloads for this one single episode than he's ever seen, as far as his podcast goes.
Yeah.
He already hits high numbers between 150 to 200,000 downloads in a week per episode. Yeah. So he's up there. He's up there with the big dogs in the podcasting wrestling world.
He's arguably the most downloaded podcast. I would venture to say that.
I would say besides Conrad's and
I think that's a fair statement.
And Austin and Jericho's. I think other than that, I think Jim Cornette is right there with it. And the top 5 for sure.
I think that's a very fair statement.
So
it's going to be interesting to see.
Well, here's what I was going to tell our listeners too, just in case you're not that familiar with Jim Cornette and who he is as a person. From listening to his Jim Cornette Experience, which is what he's going to be airing tomorrow. He's got 2 episodes. One is the drive-through where he dives more into the history of wrestling and people he's dealt with and characters in the wrestling world. And then the Experience is kind of his opinion on any and everything out there going on in the world.
Exactly.
He's a diehard liberal Democrat. He will not. He doesn't lie. He doesn't deny it. He doesn't hide it.
He makes no bones about it either.
And he voted.
And on a more personal note, the people who follow our podcast, you will see Jeff the Ref pictured prominently with his Uncle Ivan, and guess who you'll see me with? Who, Jeff?
Jim Cornette.
Hello. You'll see me and Jim Cornette taking a picture together.
So
And it's on my web. It's on our website, our podcast.
So what else I was going to say was Jim Cornette voted for Obama, a diehard Obama supporter.
Oh yeah, clearly.
I mean, still thinks that Obama should be president today.
Yeah.
You know, what I'm trying to say is, I don't know that he's a racist. I know that a lot of people want to paint that picture. And here's why I think that they do it, is because they got a Southern bias because he's from Kentucky. And
I don't think he's a racist. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, and people know this, you know, the ECW hardcore maniac New Jack stayed at my house for a couple days, and we talked about Jim Cornette. And not one time did I hear New Jack say that Jim Cornette was a racist.
Nope.
In fact, he thought Jim Cornette was a pretty cool guy. In fact, the whole gangsters gimmick was Jim Cornette's idea. That's true.
And Jim Cornette, and his exact comment to New Jack when New Jack cut his first promo for Smoky Mountain, he said, "Well, Jim, what do you want me to do?" He said, "Well, look at where we run our shows. All you got to do is go out there and cut a promo to piss off white people."
And it's exactly what New Jack did.
And
now, Jeff, let's keep it on topic.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but I was just going to say that let's keep it on topic, but I want to tie this in to Jim Cornette's history of saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. Now, you got a boat full of examples to give everybody of Jim Cornette opening mouth and inserting foot. Let's just kind of like travel down that road just a little bit, and then we'll switch gears to Jordan Myles for a bit.
Well, this is a good one right here that he open mouth insert foot. Going on his podcast and pretty much saying he wanted to have Vince Russo show up to a park and wanted to fight him in a no holds barred, anything goes.
Yeah.
I mean, that blew up the internet. You know,
Oh yeah.
the man just. Part of me wonders, does he really have that view, or is he in character?
Well, let's talk about that. There are people who argue the point that Jim Cornette will work himself into a shoot every time. Now, without mentioning any names, you and I know a guy who has done that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
We won't tell you who he is or where he's from. But Jim Cornette has a history of, for whatever reason, I don't know if he likes the heat. He is certainly a heat-sinking missile, Jeff. You know that.
He cares about the heat.
I think he likes it, to be honest about it. I really do. I think he likes it.
Let's face it,
think about it. What is heat? When a wrestler gets heat, what is that?
That's then he is being talked about. He's being hurt.
Exactly.
You know, I mean,
if they're talking about me, it's all good.
Everybody wants to come down on Cornette right now because it's kind of the end thing to do because of him being so vocal about AEW and their wrestlers. And those are the fans that probably were the loudest about him in the NWA comment.
Absolutely.
And he's ticked off a whole group of fans.
Oh, yeah.
AEW diehard loyalists. Why? Because he's working his character angle of being a heel. As he even said it on his podcast pretty much without coming right out and saying, "Hey guys, I'm being a heel character, hello," when he said, "The heat I get right now reminds me of the heat I got back in '86 when I was whooping on Ricky Morton's ass." Right.
Yeah, and we all know how that turned out.
Well, I mean, bottom line is he drew money.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
And now
he made a boatload of money from it.
Here you go. And you ready for this? And now he's drawing listeners to his podcast because of it. And he's making a buttload of money again.
Exactly.
So he knows.
So who's crazy?
I don't think he is. I think it's the fans that you know what? I've said this. If you don't agree with what he says, don't listen to him.
Somebody said to me today, is Cornette crazy? I said, yeah, he's crazy. Crazy like a fox.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows. And I think, and I'm going to tell you something, Jeff. You can call me, you can call bullshit on me. But I think he did that purposely. I think he got fired on purpose or was asked to resign. I think he did that purposely, and I'll tell you why. He doesn't like to travel.
No, he has to go to Georgia from Kentucky. That ain't far.
Yeah, but he don't like leaving his house. You don't know this guy. This guy doesn't like to leave his house.
Oh, no. He talks about it on his podcast. I mean, it's an act guide to get him to go
true.
Yeah.
The other thing is, let's talk about the Cornette loyalist. He's got a army, man.
He when he talks about the Cornette army, he really does.
Yeah.
You know, his army reminds me a lot of Russo's. I mean,
both of them are very divisive, but they're both extremely loyal to Cornette and to Vince Russo. By the way, the newest member of our family here,
yes, sir,
is Marvelous Mike Messier, who is very dear friends with Vince Russo. And we're going to plug Vince Russo. I can't believe I'm doing that, but I'm going to. They'll listen to our very own Mike Messier on Vince Russo's The Brand on the Realm Network. I cannot believe I just plugged Vince Russo in the Realm Network.
So Mike is on the Realm.
He's close with Vince. Yeah.
I didn't know that he was doing shows with him or
he's been friends with Vince for
what does he do with Vince? Just wondering.
Yeah, he does a
movie.
It's kind of like a video blog he does where he offers his opinions and
okay.
You know Mike, he's got an opinion about everything.
Yeah. No. I mean, Vince is just that polarizing figure, and I'm kind of with you on my feelings about him and the wrestling world and whatever. But I believe that you had read it and you were reading it to me or told me earlier, and I'll let you go ahead because I don't remember exactly what it was. But Mark Henry, what did he say about the whole Cornette?
Okay. Mark Henry cites a wrestler named Joe Dickey.
Okay.
That's the promo. He's the one who cut that promo about strapping the chicken to your neck and driving through Ethiopia.
Now, he was an enhancement guy, so he may have even cut it in the back and Cornette heard it and picked it up and ran with it or whatever.
Or he may have seen it on an old tape or a video.
Who knows where he heard it, but he took it from a guy named Joe Dickey. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, here's the thing. And I want to talk about that for a second.
Uh-huh.
Jim Cornette has incredible recall.
Mm-hmm.
He's such a wrestling junkie. He can remember things that he saw one time and recall it. Kind of like you.
Yes.
Like recall it verbatim. He's got a head for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's why we love having you here, because you're like, I call you the guru.
I'm a sponge.
But we need that sponge around here. So don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, though. But getting back to that, but if you're a guy who has that kind of recall and you absorb like that, that's going to come out. It's going to come out. You're going to use it as your own. You might borrow it. You might steal it.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not the first time, that people have... Look, let's give you an example. Gorilla Monsoon, the late Gorilla Monsoon, rest his soul, had some amazing and colorful expressions.
Yes, sir.
Okay? You're hearing guys now use what they call monsoonisms.
You do? Or JR-isms?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, by God. He's been broken in half.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, Jeff, how many guys have claimed, slobber knocker as their own?
Well, there you go. I mean, even CM Punk, when he came back, borrowed from Roddy Piper when he said, his comment when he looked in the camera and he said, just when you think you got all the answers, I changed the questions.
Exactly.
And Piper said, it was pretty much the exact same thing. Punk changed a little bit of it, but anyway.
Yeah, Piper's other famous one was, you don't throw rocks at a man carrying a machine gun.
I came here to chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of
I came here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble gum.
Right. Yeah. Now,
from the movie They Live.
Now, there you go. This guy Dickey, the Joe Dickey guy, put it in context of why would Mark Henry even have mentioned about it?
Because he's a black man.
Hello.
Yeah.
So a black man came up with the original comment.
Yes.
I think enough is said.
Moving right along.
And there we go.
Let's talk about another black man.
Yes.
That's very happy today.
Yeah.
Jordan Myles.
Still
ACH.
Still was stupid about it anyway, but go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm going to go there because I got his quote here too.
Yeah.
But we got to give equal time.
No, go ahead, quote it.
All right. ACH, the man formerly known as Jordan Myles, has received his release from World Wrestling Entertainment. ACH posted a photo of himself signing some paperwork, and if you zoom in on what he is signing, it looks like he's covering what appears to be the WWE logo at the right-hand top of the paperwork. Myles followed up with a tweet that read, "Hey, at Vince McMahon, you can't hold me down no more. This is for the wrestling culture." Another thing that strongly points to his exit is the fact that he's already booked for an independent show, Heavy Metal Wrestling in San Antonio, Texas, advertising him for tomorrow night.
Yeah.
For anyone who hasn't been following the story, ACH took offense to a T-shirt that depicted what appears to be blackface. WWE immediately took down the T-shirt, and people in the company were adamant that the shirt design was not intended nor meant to be racist in any way, and the shirt was pulled immediately. No T-shirts were sold.
There you go.
Myles has been ripping the company on Twitter for months, feeling that it was a matter of time before he would be out. Since he started to be let go and the situation was toxic on both sides, it would have been difficult for WWE to maintain him on board. And that comes from Dave Meltzer.
Yep. Man.
So
I know that me and Mike.
Where do we? I know it's interesting because we were talking about a white man and a black man, but guess what, Jeff? Both stories are eerily similar.
They are, and here's, I know me and Mikey, we somewhat addressed this whole ACH thing about a week ago when we were talking about it. In my own opinion, he went about everything in the very most stupid, idiotic, wrong way that you could. I get why he did it. He was making a play to get himself fired. He really was released. And that's
absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree.
But the way that he went about it, he should never. I mean, to call Vince McMahon out, to call Triple H out, and call them racist, and say, I'm doing this. And basically, he said in one of his tweets, "I'm doing it for my people," and that kind of. I mean, he's trying to make himself out to be some kind of martyr.
Yeah, he's not.
And he's trying to make himself out to be a martyr for the Black American community. And trying to make it almost like that WWE is a racist company, and yet they have. I mean, this isn't the 1970s or even the 80s. You show me one. I mean,
Jeff, I'll say a lot of things about WWE, and I'm not their strongest advocate, but I will tell you this: the one thing I won't call them is racist.
Nope. I mean,
that's the one thing I will not call WWE. Jeff, let me bring something to your attention. You probably already know this.
Yeah.
Because you are the guru. You know everything. But when it comes to Jordan Myles, ACH, it was said that, let's see, this is now November. It was said that back in late October, early September, that he asked for his release from NXT and was denied.
Yeah.
Now, if you hear the argument on both sides, the argument was that they created this T-shirt for him to keep him on board, thinking it would be something good for him. Look, you got your own T-shirt.
Now that I don't know about. I mean, this I will say, I did hear that he had asked for his resignation. They wouldn't give it to him. He was in the middle of a push.
And why? That's a very good point. Why would you, if you know the company is pushing you, why would you ask to be let go?
I think in his mind.
And he just signed a new contract too.
Well, here it is. I think he got it into his mind like a few of the others that have asked for their releases that are only mid-carders at most, and I'm talking your Sin Cara and others that we've been hearing about over the last couple of weeks, and that
right.
Here's the deal. I think that they were thinking, oh, I can go to AEW, apply my craft, and I'm going to make just as much or more money over there.
Yeah.
And therefore, if I ask for my resignation, maybe I'll get it. And otherwise, I'm going to act out so I can get my resignation.
Yeah.
Here's my take on all that. Do not blow the bridge up on your way out.
Well, you
asked for your resignation. They don't want to give it to you. Cool. You want to pay me to sit my butt at home?
Yeah.
Fine. So be it. I'll heal up old injuries. I'll go on vacation with my family. I'll enjoy being a dad for once to my kids. I'll enjoy putting my kids on and off the bus, going to school with them, and being a part of my wife's life for once in my life.
Yeah. When I was growing up, because I'm a little older than you, but I was growing up, we heard an expression, be careful of the bridges you burn. You may have to cross them once again.
There you go. That's my point. Don't blow the fucker up on your way out.
Well, and in the wrestling business, it's a small, tight-knit business. Let's be honest, okay? There are 3 major players now, but there are a lot of smaller groups. Basically, and I'm not going to put down the smaller groups because I support these smaller groups.
When we're done, I want to give late breaking news from ROH.
Okay. And I support these smaller groups. But unless you've got television, nobody really cares.
Amen.
Are they great to go see at your local rec center? Yes. Will you pay $15 or $20 to go see them at the Armory? Absolutely.
Yep.
But there's no TV. Okay, now, Gordon Myles signed a new contract. He's got worldwide, think about this, Jeff.
Worldwide recognition.
Worldwide recognition. His face is all over the world.
Yep.
On television. On big TV. Okay? Yep. Why on earth would you blow that kind of ride?
I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know why he was even remote. I don't know. Okay, I will say this. He did dive into at one point. Somebody said, are you crazy or are you depressed? Are you dealing with mental issues? And he did say he has mental health issues that he deals with.
Yeah, I heard that, and I do not want to go down that, but that's a rabbit hole that I'm not even prepared to go to.
No, I'm not either, but I'll say, that being said, who's to say that where's his mind frame and,
Yeah, we'll leave it at that, yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. Now,
yeah,
to wrap up this whole ACH thing, I don't think WWE was racist. I don't think that they were in the wrong in any way, shape, or form. I think that he has gone about it. Jordan Myles has gone about it wrong as far as how he wanted to get his release. And I think because of that, he's not going to get touched by AEW because Tony Khan Tony Khan's going to look at him as being a possible locker room disturber, and you don't want that with a brand new
a shit stirrer. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, you don't want a shit stirrer in your locker room, especially when you're brand new and you don't really even have Jericho, I'm sure, is a locker room leader. Cody's a locker room leader. Dustin, a locker room leader. But you don't want a shit story either back there and have to make them deal with that at this time of the game. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so, and I don't even think that where he was in ROH, he burned that bridge by, I mean, he straight up called one of ROH's primary players is Jay Lethal, and he called him an Uncle Tom.
I heard that.
So
talk about inappropriate behavior.
There you go. And then he deleted it and was like, oh, well, he knows what I'm talking about, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, point being, he should never, I mean, he's gone to, I will be surprised if I see him at AEW or even ROH. Now,
I don't think you'll have to worry about that. I really don't.
Here is the ROH breaking news.
All right, go for it.
They have released their women's champion, Kelly Klein. Here is what the kicker is.
This is breaking now as we're speaking.
Yeah, she is the wife of the wrestler BJ Whitmer. Joe Koff, the owner of ROH, or he's the COO. He took to Twitter, confirmed that she had been let go, but she is dealing with post-concussion syndrome right now. And they fired her.
Oh Lord. I see lawsuit all over the place.
She had wrote a letter to, or an email to Joey Mercury, and she mentioned, her problems, that they didn't have a concussion protocol there.
Right.
That they, did not, say, hey, you need to come off the road. It was on her own to say it. The women there are only making $25,000 across the board. Nobody, no more, no less.
Wait, back up.
Yep.
You're telling me that Sinclair Broadcasting is only paying their women $25,000 a year?
Yep.
You got to be ribbing me, right?
I'm not.
And what are the men making?
Who knows? I mean, they're probably making, I would assume, well, I'll just say her husband, BJ Whitmer, I would assume is probably making about 60, 70 grand a year. I mean, you're talking ROH. They're not going to be paying the millions, or, I mean, you may make a couple $100 grand at most if you're a top dog.
Well, somebody like Jay Lethal's got to be pulling down $150, $200.
At least, yeah. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Like they got they don't even have a big T-shirt base. You know what I mean?
Okay, now Jeff, what do you know about ROH's concussion protocol?
They don't have one. It's straight up.
Oh, so they knew that she was dealing with the concussion,
with the concussion and post concussion syndrome.
Syndrome, yeah.
And then they turn around and they release her, and knowing that she's dealing with this. It is not.
Wow.
That's a huge black mark on a company that is struggling right now. That
Yeah.
They don't need to come under. I mean,
they can't afford any bad press because they can't afford any press.
Right. And Joey Mercury has said that there is more to the email than that she sent him for him to release if she wants him to.
Okay.
I don't know what else is in there,
and
but
is that at the Mercury's discretion?
I think it's at her discretion on when she tells him to let it all out.
Okay, fair enough.
And the reason why Joey Mercury is sitting on it, and he got fired, but he was an executive behind the scenes agent at ROH. Right. And then they let him go.
Now, Joe Koff, as I know, is I believe he may be the owner.
See, he's the COO. Kerry Silkin, I believe.
Oh, Kerry Silkin's the owner?
Well, Sinclair's the overall owner, but I think Kerry Silkin is the president, and then Joe Koff is the COO of.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't know all the jobs.
I'm not real familiar with Ring of Honor.
I'll be honest, I'm not that familiar with their behind the scenes going on.
Yeah.
I watch their product when I remember that it's on my TV.
Yeah.
Because we've gone into that, their airing times and that hurts them overall too. But
yeah,
I mean this right there, this could I'm not going to say be a final nail in the coffin, but it's not going to. This is a huge.
It's certainly not going to. It's not going to bode well for them. I can tell you that.
Nope. And I would expect in the next few days you're going to see a shitstorm coming from this.
Well, let's keep our eyes on that one. I'm curious. It's because I think just in the last 6 months, in fact, we just settled the last WWE concussion lawsuit. And the WWE basically won all of them.
They're going to continue to win because I'll dive into that really quick. And I could dive into this because I did know knowledge from Uncle Ivan about the whole concussion lawsuit because he was
Ivan part of that lawsuit?
Briefly.
Okay.
I will get into this. This is what I could tell everybody, and I would disclose it. Okay, what it was, he wasn't originally part of the original even 30 or 40 that had joined up on the original one.
Right.
Blackjack Mulligan, before he died, Blackjack went to Uncle and he said, hey, would you be willing to get in on this lawsuit?
Yeah.
It would help to have your name added to it. They add name value.
Yeah, sure.
Uncle said, I don't agree with it. I don't know that I even had any concussions while I worked for the WWE. He said I could have, but you're talking back in the 1960s, 70s, and early 80s. And he said, so who's to say when or where I suffered any concussions? But he said, because you're my best friend or one of my best friends in the business, BJ, meaning Blackjack Mulligan, I'll do the favor. I'll join the lawsuit. By him joining said lawsuit, he pretty much shot himself of ever getting a chance to get into the Hall of Fame. But the day that Blackjack died, the day after, Uncle contacted the lawyer for the concussion lawsuit and said, withdraw my name from it. I do not want to be associated with it. And he emailed and wrote a formal letter.
Okay.
He wrote, emailed, and called Triple H and Vince McMahon and said, I am no longer part of this. I did it out of loyalty to Blackjack.
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't agree with it.
Right.
I would hope that you guys can understand my loyalty to one of my best friends.
Sure, of course.
And left it at that. Now, that lawsuit, here's why WWE will continue to win. No one wrestler that is a part of that lawsuit can ever say, I only wrestled for the WWF or WWE.
Absolutely.
And that being said, they will lose every time because all the WWF's lawyers got to say is, did you wrestle in any other place other than the WWF?
As soon as they say, yeah, it's over. Case closed.
Because did you suffer any chair shots over the head while you were wrestling for the NWA Crockett? Well,
of course you did.
Who's to say you didn't have a concussion then?
Well, exactly. Look, here's the bottom line. Okay, since we're disclosing information, in the interest of full disclosure, I knew Vito LaGrasso, Big Vito.
Yep.
Okay, I did a couple shows with him, and we've discussed his CTE and the concussion lawsuit. And, and Vito, he was a part of that lawsuit.
Yep.
And he lost because as soon as let's be honest about it. Before he came to WWE,
in ECW,
he was in. Thank you very much. Exactly.
So,
and he was in WCW and ECW. I don't have to tell you, Jeff.
No, I mean that was a hardcore chair shots. Anything and everything goes over your head.
Exactly.
I mean, if you didn't have a concussion tonight, it would probably have been amazing. It's probably why
it was pretty well a non-starter. That you figured that you knew where that lawsuit was going to go.
Yeah, I mean, and I that to me was nothing more than a cash grab by a bunch of wrestlers who could not or have not gotten employed by the WWE or gotten the love from Vince in a while.
And there's another argument being made that these guys are looking for one last run.
Well, every wrestler until the day they die think that they still got a run in them.
Yeah, I know, right?
Ric Flair has said, he's like, I'm cleared to wrestle if they ever want to put me in the ring again. Brother, you're 71 years old. You're done. I love you, but you're done.
Exactly.
I mean, Hogan has said he don't want his last match to have been in TNA. Well, you made that decision, motherfucker.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And yes, unfortunately, his back is in such bad shape. He's had 10 surgeries.
Jeff, I saw a video today
Yeah.
of the famous bar incident where the fan confronts Hulk. I saw that video, and Hulk looked like an old man.
He does.
He does he does for real look like an old man. He cannot stand up straight. He's probably right now 6'2", 6'3", where he was 6'8", legit.
Yeah.
But he's had so many back operations. He lost legit for a shoot 4 inches to 5 inches off of his height.
I mean, I saw he posted a picture on Instagram of the hardware in his back.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
man, brother, let me tell you that wow. I don't know how. I mean, how could you not be in pain,
bro? Let me tell you something. That hardware, I have it
every day.
Every day. I have that hardware.
Right.
It's called a gill cage.
Okay.
That's the procedure they do. It's called the gill procedure.
Well, I mean, you know, Hogan, Jimmy Hart said, he said Hogan told him, and Hogan has now been quoted many a time saying he wishes he never did the leg drop as a finisher and he had done a sleeper hold and he was still been wrestling today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, because he's got another run in him, right?
Hey, he's ready to go. He wants one more too. I mean, and it's like there.
Jeff is choking everyone.
Yeah, try not to die.
Don't die on the air, please.
Yeah, but what I was going to say is there is something to be said, even on an indie level.
Yeah.
You hear that pop and you walk through that curtain. And even myself, I can say there's nothing like hearing or having a good night of wrestling with the electricity in the air. And,
of course.
And so I get it. I get them having that drive to want
more. Oh, I understand that. I know what it's like to walk on a stage and have an audience applaud you. I know that.
So, I mean, and you're right. I think with these guys with the concussion lawsuit, we'll tie it all the way back in, and then we can wrap it up for the night. But I think what it is they all want one more run, or they feel like they deserve one more. Vince isn't willing to give it to them, so it's okay. Well, Vince, you're the big-time billionaire. You owe us some money. We need to get paid now. And you're looking at guys from the 80s who haven't seen a wrestling ring since the 90s, in all honesty.
Yeah, sure.
And they're going,
well, my argument's more basic and a lot more simple.
What's that?
And it comes down to simple economics. If you took care of your money when you had it, you wouldn't have to kill yourself in your 60s and 70s.
I mean, and they can't depend on Daddy Vince, but so much to keep on giving them a handout.
Why do you think all of these older wrestlers are all doing podcasts now? Because they think that they still have some name draw.
Well,
and guess what? And I got news for you, brother. The only guys that are making money are Austin, Jericho, Conrad Thompson.
Yeah.
And a few of the older guys, Arn Anderson. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's the top. That's the top of the echelon there.
Everybody else, we're playing. Okay, we're down here. Can we get what's dangling?
You're right. I got news for you. For shoot.
Yeah,
our podcast is doing better numbers than some of these guys.
I believe it. I believe it.
Look at our downloads.
Our downloads prove it. And as we have said, we are the hottest rising podcast out there, and we will continue to be. Why? Exactly. We put out things like tonight where we're up to date on what's going on in the wrestling world.
Yeah, because people are going to hear things on this podcast they won't hear on other podcasts.
There you go. And we're not afraid to speak our mind or our opinion and let it be heard.
Well, we are self-contained and self-produced, and I own everything. I own Jeff. I own his life.
I
No,
signed,
but here,
I mean, you know, I didn't realize the 10-year contract that I signed with you was really signing it with the devil, but still.
you see these horns? They're holding up my halo.
All right. Well, on that note, let's go
Well,
ahead.
not yet. Wait a minute. Now we got a
Oh,
couple. We got some housekeeping to do.
oh, you're right. Okay, my bad. My bad.
You gotta plug Vanguard.
Yes, I will. I will all the time, always. Go to vcw-wrestling.com to get your tickets for the next upcoming show, December the 7th in Norfolk, Virginia, live at the Masonic Temple at 7:30 is the bell time. However, at 5:30, he will be appearing, the one, the only, Mr. Bang Bang himself, Mick Foley, also known as Cactus Jack, Mankind, or Dude Love, whichever persona you prefer. He will be there live and in person. You can catch him, or you can also go to see Vanguard on Facebook. They're at Vanguard Championship Wrestling, and look them up. And look them up on YouTube. I encourage you to look them up on YouTube and watch any of their videos. You like old school, you'll love any one of the matches that they put up there. I mean, anyway, that being said, looking forward to that show. That's in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, everybody. Yep. You got your chance to meet Mick Foley.
And let me put a little plug in for my friend Jaden. And he's the promoter of Dog Championship Wrestling, NWA Dog, the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. And their show is coming up December the 28th in Glassboro, New Jersey at the Max Spitz Center. It's Hero for the holidays, J.J. Dillon, Tatanka, Flying Brian Pillman Jr., Breaker Morant, the Old School Empire, and that's Patch and Big Vinny the Fixer. They will be there. I love those guys. They make me laugh my ass off, brother.
Fixer, that's
Old School. These two guys in their 50s, they're fucking hilarious. They're great.
Even better. Even better.
So check them out, the NWA Dog. Just find their website. They're all over the place. Now, as for us, Wrestling with the Future can be seen on YouTube at Wrestling with the Future. Just search us in the search box. And Twitch TV, just search us and you'll find our pretty faces if you want to look at us. And if you can't stand to look at us and just want to hear us, well, you can do that on Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Google Play. And if that's not enough for you, you can listen in the fillings in your teeth, by carrier pigeon, by infrared remote control. You'll find us everywhere.
Yes, sir.
We like to say, on the road, on the go, and in your car. We're not very far.
That's true.
So, for Jeff the Ref, this is Psychic Angelo. Happy wrestling, everybody.
Goodbye,
before we say goodbye, I can't do that yet.
I'm sorry.
Stay with us. Next week, we have a huge guest.
Yes.
He's the associate producer of The Wrestler, starring Mickey Rourke. And he is the producer of the film 350 Days.
I would recommend watching 350 Days to anybody if you want to hear.
Oh my God, what a great movie. Super movie.
So
his name is Evan Ginsberg, and I've known Evan for probably almost 20 years. And we had a mutual friend, the late Nicole Bass. And Evan will talk about Nicole, I'm sure, because he always does. And that's 350 Days. It's a great, great movie. A lot of those guys aren't with us anymore. No, and Evan captured some of the most rare wrestling film footage you'll ever find. You have people like Blackjack Mulligan, Jimmy Snuka, Bret Hart, Greg the Hammer Valentine,
Superstar.
Ox Baker. Oh, and our friend Mike Messier has a film. About Ox Baker called One of the Boys. I'm going to plug Mike Messier, One of the Boys. The Ox Baker story. But next week, yes, Evan Ginsberg will be with us. It will not be a video show, however, ladies and gentlemen. It will be an audio-only episode.
Okay.
So, next week, Evan Ginsberg, and we got him for the whole night. So, Jeff.
Wait.
Go ahead.
I've had a couple phone calls or a couple messages today. We've been working on getting a couple guests. Somebody who will be appearing, I'm going to give a heads up.
Yes.
We will see. And it's not even a big name, but a very dear friend of mine, my childhood best friend from the 3rd grade, who grew up with me watching my wrestling, knows my wrestling the days, and can tell some good Jeff the Ref stories. We'll just say that.
Oh, I want to hear them.
He's getting ready to have a show that's going to be coming out on PBS that's been picked up. So we'll be talking to him about that show, along with, again, like I said, he's going to give a little bit of dive into my childhood growing up and being
and my understanding is I'm going to a little spoiler alert. He's going to talk a little bit about my realm.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
No, that's another guest. That's another
one. I want to tell everybody that I put something out on Facebook today. And I want to plug this group. It's called Wrestling Fans. It's a private group.
Yep.
On Facebook. So Jeff and I both belong to it.
If you're invited.
Yep. And Mike Messier is a member of the group. Well, I put a post up today, and we'll tell everyone that if you were a guest on the podcast, what would you like to discuss? And I had some interesting commentary. So we're going to actually have some real fans as guests on the show.
I've got no problem doing that.
And so that's going to be an interesting thing. One said, I want to talk about the current state of the wrestling product. I had another guy say, I want to talk about the 80s.
Ooh.
And I actually had one woman that commented, and she says, I just want to talk about everything.
Oh, I'm going to put this out there. Baby doll, if you happen to hear this, we want you on here. Something bad.
Absolutely.
Nicola, I'll be nice to you and call you Nicola, but I give you the respect of calling you baby doll first and foremost.
And if anyone knows Enzo Amore,
yes,
tell him Angelo was looking for him.
He told him to come.
And I want him on my show because I don't want to have to come to Bergen, New Jersey to get him.
Well, everybody, you can find us also on Twitter.
Yes, at Wrestling Future on Twitter. We are available there 24/7 because Jeff never sleeps.
I really don't.
And you can also inbox us on Facebook. You can direct message us on Twitter. You can find us at Wrestling with the Future at yahoo.com and at gmail.com. Wrestling with the Future at gmail.com. So there's no excuse not to get a hold of us.
There you go.
We're on Gmail and Yahoo. And you can find us on Facebook at Wrestling with the Future. And we don't have an Instagram, and I don't think I want one.
I don't think we can handle it.
I did. We got too much going on now, brother.
We're going to have to find one of those millennial type kids that can handle our social media accounts.
I know. Yeah, I got to hire a secretary for you or something.
Well, hold up. Are we going to share her or?
No, this is just to get you on the podcast on time. That's a running joke with Jeff the Ref and myself.
Yes, it is. That is.
He's never on time, always. I'm going to call you the late Jeff.
I swear we just need to quit speaking into the universe of what time we're going to do it, and then maybe we could actually be on time about it. But
I know, right? Well, look, we go whenever.
Yeah, we do. I mean, and when we say whenever, I don't care. If you want to contact us, come on here, and you want to do it 2 a.m. If you got something good to talk about, by all means, we'll be here at 2 a.m.
I'll find a way to be here. Absolutely.
So, all right.
Yes, Enrico Constantino has confirmed that he will be with us. So we're just trying to get his schedule worked out. Enrico gave us a definite.
Yep.
We will also have Bulldozer Matt Tremont from CZW.
And the guy who you're talking about from your realm, his name is Raphael Savino. And he's
a nice Italian guy.
And
hey, I got a paisan to talk to. That's good.
and he will be coming. He does security with me, so
But he's a ghost hunter.
and he's also a ghost hunter as well. So
That's going to be a fun episode.
it is, because he's been my right hand man for probably the last 5 to 6 years,
And he's a big wrestling fan.
huge.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about all that stuff.
Yeah. So
Well, let's just tell everybody we'll sign off again. So for Jeff the Ref, Psychic Angelo here. Happy wrestling. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.